So,
I hope you don't mind. I kind of want to record some of this, or just
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, I don't care at all.
Yeah.
But oh, that's cool. It's a tank. Yeah. Um, but yeah, pretty much most protocols. I mean, I haven't gone fruitarian, so I can't speak on that. I don't really know. I'm sure that there could be, there could be real benefits in that. I know some people that I hold in high regard to that. So,
Yeah.
but I've tried pretty much everything else, and I'm trying to lean away from the extreme diets now and lean more into the root cause in the physiology of how the body works, and it keep coming back to the mouth. And like this has come up for me several times in like when I'll be on a journey or some type of ceremony or entheogenic compound, and like it brings this like awareness to my mouth. It keeps coming back to my mouth. So I'm gonna explore that more, and yeah, hopefully get in touch with a biological holistic dentist. Hopefully have some good ones here.
Yeah, I can actually probably send you a link to one that my breathwork instructor. He's more of like I don't know about biological, but he actually might be. But he's done.
Yeah, most holistic. If they go by holistic dentists, they're usually biological. Biological dentists are basically, they're just not isolated dentists. They're dentists that look at the whole system. Because to be a dentist, you have to learn all the systems. Like being a dentist is actually one of the hardest. Like you have to go to so much school for dentist. Like through dentistry, you got to go to at least like 8 years of school. So it's like they go through it all. It's just they become indoctrinated into the system, and a lot of them, and there's a lot of money in root canals. And I think it's a silent killer. I think root canals are a terrible idea because you can never, and this isn't like at this point it's not causation or belief. It has nothing to do with belief and causation. Like there could be a causation. There's like no, there's not. It's not correlation. It is causation. Like they have dissected cadavers. They've taken teeth out of people who have had root canals, and every single one is infected. Like there's never been not a tooth that was infected. It's just the degree of infection and how it expresses in the body, because some people's immune systems are just naturally stronger than others.
Interesting.
So it's not like a matter of if the tooth is infected and affecting the body. It's like it is infected and it is going to affect the body. It's just a matter of how it expresses itself because of the person's individual immune system and how well it is at fighting the infection, regardless of whether or not it's connected directly to their bloodstream. Or their nervous system.
Their nervous system. So
because it is connected to the bloodstream eventually.
Yeah, the guy that one of my friends sent me to was he's like specialized in the airway in combination with orthodontist. Like he focuses a lot on the palate and expansion of the airway, and like.
Does he use ozone at all by chance?
Let me see if I can find him quick.
Okay. Yeah, that would be really, I would love to get connected with him, because a lot of the biological dentists that I've been looking into, and on this this documentary, the root cause documentary, they talk about, because I've also looked into ozone therapy for a while, and they were talking about basically what they do is they just remove the root canal, the decaying tooth from the site, because it's essentially the same. It's essentially the equivalent of having a limb that has gangrene and then just trying to leave that limb or that limb on the body and expect it to go well. It's the same equivalent. It compares to the most extreme infections there are. And then they just try to pull the root out of the tooth and then expect all the cavitational spaces that have already been infected not to affect the rest of the body. It's crazy. But they were saying basically they remove the tooth, or they reopen the cavities for the wisdom teeth sections, and then they basically shoot it with ozone. And the ozone, since it's such a small, it's oxygen. It can get in these little tiny crevices, and it kills infection like no other. Like ozone, have you heard of ozone rectal insufflations, where they basically do insufflations with ozone? It just wipes out infection like no other thing. So they're talking about injecting ozone into the jaw, and then it goes up into all of the airwaves and the whole
That means part of your jaw's done.
part of my jaw is dying. Yeah. And so it goes up into all the cavities in the jaw, and people are saying they can even feel it up in their ear cavities and like up under here in their mucosal lining and their whole nasal passage too.
That's all like
it's just going up there and killing everything. It's killing all the infections, all the bacteria, all the bad bacteria.
That's like cranial. So all your cranial nerves. Sorry, all your cranial
No, you're
nerves
fine.
like go through. Like you have like 12 nerves on the back of your head, and they like I think it's like numbers 5 and 9 connect through your jaw.
Yeah.
And those ones go back down, and around the 9th one and the 10th go down through your neck and like connect to your entire like nervous system through your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is the 10th, I think. And they
the 10th cranial nerve. Yeah.
So
and there's a big one. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom around the 5th. I mean, the cranial nerves are super important, but the 5th cranial nerve that's where you're when you're actually able to, like I was actually briefly talking about on our other chat line, you know, the CFF, the cerebral spinal fluid.
Yeah.
That's where it travels through, and the 5th cranial nerve is what stimulates the vasopressin and the oxytocin. And that's the golden milk and honey of the hypothalamus, the pineal and pituitary glands.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can get that to travel the cerebral spinal fluid with no obstruction, that is the Christ oil. That's the holy chrism, which is crazy. But you're right. So there's a lot of super important factors with all of the cranial nerves, including connecting to the vagus nerve, which travels throughout the whole body and also travels along that same line down into the front and into the gut and all that. Let me read this paragraph. So it's all connected. But yeah, I mean, I've learned just recently, I'm still learning what everything is, but my tooth specifically is connected. These front 4 are connected to the kidneys, the adrenals, the pineal gland, and one other one, and then it goes back into the stomach, and then as you
probably
go further back.
I think one of them connects to the parathyroid.
I think it is the thyroid too. Yeah, so it pretty much hits all the important ones.
Yeah.
All the ones that are going to be releasing proper amounts of catecholamines or anything like that. But yes, sorry, Turner, he's joining in on the conversation too, so I'm trying to answer his questions too. But yes, Turner, yes. Chewing is good. You want to chew; it keeps the jaw strong. But you don't want to chew on cars. Cars aren't what you want to chew. You want to chew on food. Don't chew on the car. So yeah, it's been a huge. I mean, it's been a huge like act of faith, because I just moved out here, you know, half a year ago. But it's been a huge act of faith, still dealing with all this stuff, and then trying to take on being in a relationship and being a surrogate dad and finding a new job and all this. I mean, it's been absolute madness, but maybe I am just crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Aren't we all?
Yeah.
My breathwork instructor, he's got some pretty messed up teeth. I actually think he's got those same like ones. But he talks about always using like whenever
you're in a car, you're on a road trip with your parents who are arguing in the front.
CO2
What do you
boosting
do?
to always have like a stick or a
AirPods
mouth
in,
guard
listen to music.
in between your teeth.
The answer is always great.
Because teeth connection, you like actually touching your teeth interrupts the cranial nerve.
But seriously,
From,
this tower is
what did he
basically
say? It was like
prison, and you're going to need an army of champions.
This is news to me. I haven't done any of this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been really big on, you know, the microcosmic orbit, if you will, connecting the tongue to the back of the roof of the mouth to open the cycle of, and you know, Chinese culture, the yin and yang energies of the body.
Also,
I know that having the jaw posture, I mean, I know that the jaw is super important. It's incredibly strong, and I do know that people using mouth guards can increase their strength, but I didn't think about it. As far as you're saying,
Yes. So he
well, then
said
how would they do it in the past if they weren't using mouth guards? Like,
tongue. Strength of the
Um,
tongue keeps the roof of the mouth like the keeping your tongue on the roof of your mouth allows your jaw to sit lower just in general.
oh, so I've actually already been doing that. I didn't even think
So
about
the mewing
that.
and stuff, the mewing allows you to keep that separation and keep that parasympathetic activation happening like at all times. So someone with strong
That
jaw,
makes sense.
strong facial structure from the neurodevelopmental sequence like of breath and like
ice cream.
babies when they breastfeed. They're supposed to breastfeed to like anywhere from 2 to 4 when they're supposed to stop. And if they
Yeah.
like they create that suction and pressure through the breastfeeding, and then they get a proper jaw alignment, it allows their teeth to kind of settle in because they have an expansion of the palate and the airway and the jaw. And then they have that stronger tongue throughout the rest of their lives, and they don't have to worry about.
See, we're always overlooking the power of the teeth, man.
Yeah. So he says
Super
that
important. You gotta breastfeed.
Harrison knows about this. He's in the same group chat. It says
If you cut out early, you'll spend the rest of your life chasing the nipple.
He said when the teeth touch,
All right, I'm
that
done.
means that the motor cortex is inappropriately responding to the environmental signal of like basically the pressure that they're feeling, and it interrupts that signal and causes a sympathetic nervous system stress, and then like it disrupts the parasympathetic activation. So it
just from the teeth touching.
Yeah, even just slightly.
Honestly, I'm not scared of him either. It's not like
yeah,
he has a mouth already.
That makes sense though, because when I naturally just let my jaw fall how it wants to, my tongue actually is filling up my entire mouth cavity and also in between my teeth, and then it's resting high and back on the back of the roof of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of just how my body was intuitively doing when I've been doing my breathwork practices. So it's really cool.
Do you know about mewing?
Yes, I'm familiar with it. Yeah. I haven't done it too much. I mostly just focus on the tongue, just tongue and roof connection, and sense of help most things fall back into place in the mouth. But yeah, I'm familiar with
What
it.
a lot of people don't realize is in order to like properly mew, you gotta swallow first.
Yeah.
Because the tongue sits like the back part of the tongue is connected to the throat, right? Like there's a part of the tongue called the pharynx, and that's the back of the tongue. And in order to engage that, you just have to swallow. And then you can create better suction and pressure in the back of the tongue because that's where the strength of the tongue is. And then you let it kind of scrape. So it's going to come forward. It's going to come back, and then you kind of let it scrape forward as you create more suction and pressure, and then it sits like right behind the teeth. So it's like it comes back with the swallow, and then you let it like kind of come forward a little bit, and then you create this like little dome with it and suction and pressure up. And as you do that, you bring that jaw down and forward, and you can feel in this whole area like
it's like stretching my jaw.
It's just like
yeah.
And like go like on and off with that, like with that pressure. Play with 100%, play with 50%, 60%. When I'm like driving home, I'll like be mewing for like a half hour straight.
Dude, it's optimizing your time.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I love that. Yeah, I think there's something very profound, and I learned this to a degree when I was in my holistic training about like the superficial back line, superficial front line, the side line. Are you familiar with that? Did we talk about? We didn't talk about. Basically, we have these superficial lines that run all throughout our body, and you've got the fascia, the tendons, and ligaments. It's like it's connecting and holding everything together in this webbing. And then our muscles and all of that wrap around the bones. And so most of imbalances in the body could come from, potentially fascial adhesions, which are restricting mobility and causing compensations within the system. But it could also come from bone malformations. And so these lines, we have the superficial back line, for example, starts at our toes and ends right here. So it goes all the way up the back, through the calf and the hamstrings and the erectus spinae and the paraspinals and the whatever spinal erectors into the cranium, and then up here. But then it also is correlated, not directly connected because it ends here in the front line starts, but it's correlated to the jaw. And so if there's even like a 1 degree off of the direction of the jaw and how your bite actually comes down and how your tongue sits in the palate of your mouth, it'll actually reverse offset the entire back line from the top, the cervical spine, all the way down into the entire other system of the body. I don't know. I'm having a little trouble remembering exactly all the words, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying is that even just the placement of our jaw and how it rests right here can affect an entire kinetic chain down the slings of the entire back line of the body, but also the front line eventually, but it'll affect the back line first and then the front line. It was crazy learning about, and it's all just from the jaw, just from how the jaw sits and rests. And so if you have a jaw tilt, if your bite is off, if you have, an overbite or an underbite, or if your overbite is too exceeded to, even just a half of a degree will compound and amplify throughout the back line.
Yeah, and the axis gets tilted, the whole thing.
The axis of the atlas is supposed to be 41 degrees coming in just slightly forward. And so if your jaw is off and that goes, down or up, it's going to throw everything off. And so you have practitioners, atlas chiropractors that work specifically with the cervical spine to readjust the whole body. That's all they work with.
Yeah.
Because it has such a profound effect on the rest of the body. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But a lot of it can come from the jaw.
Mm-hmm.
So weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, I've been reading this book called Muscles and Meridians. Which,
Okay.
they even talk about Thomas Myers and his book Anatomy Brain.
Yes, that's a good book. That's a really brilliant book, especially for understanding those lines I was just talking about.
Mm-hmm. So they in Muscles and Meridians, they talk about all these fascial lines. They also talk about it from the neurological developmental sequence and like how we as embryos develop in these contractile fields, and how like you said, it's all connected, and the ventral and dorsal lines and how they're connected through all this stuff, how the back chain fascia connection works, how simple things like us wearing backpacks with too much weight can fuck up our entire system. Like, it's like wild. Like, it's actually better for us to balance things on our head and carry them than it is for us to wear backpacks. Like, backpacks.
That's why in indigenous cultures you see these,
they balance
these ladies,
like a strap or whatever up here, or they balance things on their heads to like carry them. Yeah.
Carrying. Look, we're talking 30, 40, 50 pounds, maybe more on their head, just stacking up. Got people throwing stuff up there, and we're the geniuses to put backpacks on. And I even knew intuitively younger, like I started putting the backpack on the front of my body because it just felt better. And it looks wacky, but it actually makes sense. It's easier for us to put a backpack on the front of our body because you can have two backpacks. Exactly. But yeah, on the head, because it's more in alignment with the way that the body works. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Yeah. It's super funny. Like these weird, like, oh, let's invent something, and then like it just messes up an entire generation of people.
I mean, that's usually what we do, humans, when we try to outsmart nature and how the systems actually work. Because this intelligence has been around for a long time. The front lines, the back lines, the meridian systems, the strengthening of tendons and fascia. Like, it's been around for so long. We're just kind of remembering it now, because I think we create these hyper Newtonian, like, kind of, I don't even know if logical is the right word, because it's not really logical. It's just like, in talking in the sense of like movement and like, say, strength training, like, it's like this aesthetics we work so hard on. We get so caught up in this like Newtonian physical egoic world that people just want to blow up their muscles and look incredibly large. For what? To like destroy their health and their bodies, and like, in the name of fitness or whatever that looks like. It's like, it's kind of insane. And then I was sold that model as a kid too. I used to be obsessed with like bodybuilders. Like, I want to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And I would read my dad's bodybuilder magazines. It might be like, oh, that's the apex. That's the epitome of health. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. Just being jacked out of your mind. And granted, yeah, some bodybuilders really were actually functional lifters.
Yeah.
They were incredible athletes, like in incredibly good shape.
Yeah, some of the first
majority
bodybuilders are insane.
Original bodybuilding.
Actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, their capabilities and their flexibility and their, like, yeah, they were actually incredible athletes, but like, it kind of just got skewed over time, and more on the sense of like, how can we get our muscles as big as fast as possible? But the wisdom of how the body moves and how it's all one system, really, like, we just talked about these different systems to understand how the body works better, but it's really all to bring it back to an integrated system. And so, like, even this course I'm taking right now, I'm in 100-day certification gong.
Oh, cool.
For a qigong called Yijin Jing, which is like the original. It's supposedly the original lineage of qigong, from the Buddha Dharma.
Wow.
That when he brought it to the Buddhist monks of China, when they were basically just weak and frail, and they couldn't defend themselves. So they kept getting raided and stuff taken from them and all this, like, because they were just focused on one portion of Buddhism. And so he showed them this modality, this practice. Well, he showed them a lot. I mean, they basically became superhumans after that. But Yijin Jing was the first form of qigong that he showed them, and it translates to basically the strengthening, yi conditioning. Jin is tendons and fascia, soft tissue, strengthening the tendons and fascia, and then Jing is original, or the beginning. So the beginning of the strengthening of tendons and fascia, but it goes so much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And so he like showed them how to basically use energy and manipulate, or not manipulate energy, but manifest energy or unlock energy in the body through the tendons and fascia to strengthen the body. And it's really cool. And so it starts out with breath work. We've started with breath. And
of course, no other place to start.
Yeah. They're like, this is the structure, and this is what most people teaching qigong, the forms, the movement forms of qigong on the internet, why a lot of people, may not be getting the benefits of what qigong really has to offer, is because it starts with breath. You have to learn how to utilize the breath to move the qi through what they called the dantian. And I've already learned from a different Master Shah through the Tao Healing, Master Shah's Institute something. But basically, yeah, they talk about the three main dantians, which is, it's like in Hinduism would be the crown, the heart, and then the lower dantian just in front of the sacrum, or the sacral chakra.
Yep.
And so you have to learn how to breathe into, You're hungry? Okay, let me get a snack. Hold on. You want some yogurt? No, we don't have any cheese sticks or anything. Here, I'll see what we got. But you have to essentially learn how to do, because we naturally are chest breathers. Like that's how we come out, and that's how we wake up our lung meridians, is by crying and chest breathing. So chest breathing isn't inherently bad, like I thought in the past. It's just not a complete breath, is all it is. It's like it's good for certain things. It's just not good for everything.
Yeah.
So we learn how to properly chest breathe and allow that our shoulders and our upper rib cage to fully expand. And then we do diaphragmatic breathing. So we learn how to activate the diaphragm. And then we learn what is very controversial in a lot of breathing practices, which is reverse diaphragmatic breathing, which is where you'll see the yogis that have been breathing for a long time, or the Qigong instructors, where it's like the diaphragm, the lower diaphragm where the dantian is, expands initially, and then it travels upward and expands right here. And this is actually contracting in as you're breathing in, which is weird. And so learning to center the energy in the lower dantian, and as you breathe up and in, you're actually channeling that energy, which is dantian. Dantian translates to, the internal elixir, essentially the elixir of life, which is where our chi energy is stored in the dantian. And you channel that dantian energy back into the Ming Men, which is the seat of the sacrum on the spine. And then that's what stimulates. It's actually similar to a lot of the yogic practices. It stimulates the cerebral spinal fluid. It wakes up the kundalini, the chi within the spine. It's really crazy. Learning all this stuff has been awesome, actually.
Dude, it's wild you're talking about this, because like I'm part of like a group coaching call, and we all do like a lot of this movement stuff, and we started intuitively doing exact type of breath work. Like reverse breathing, but we're also just breathing through the hips, through the pelvic floor, into the diaphragm, with that contraction still happening and filling up all the way up to the chest during like specific movements. So we're in what we call supine ring, which is like what like babies use on their backs when they're bringing their toes up to their face almost. And like creating pressure on like when they push their toes. And
so are you talking about Goda stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
Kind of like this. So
is
it's
it
like,
kind of, are you still doing that stuff, or?
Yeah, so like the platform that the coaches that I'm working with are, they're all certified in Yoda, and they're all like, actually, here's one that's coming in right now. He's not certified, but he's part of the calls, so this will be interesting too.
And see, this is literally an exact, this is an exact correlation of what I'm talking about. Is like, this is not new stuff. This stuff's been around, and like this is one of the most ancient Qigong practices in the world that I'm talking about. And you're talking about a new, practice.
We're
relearning these ancient wisdoms. And it's like same thing because after you told me, because I had never even really heard of Goda before you. I was talking to you. That was the first time I heard of Goda. I never even learned about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I started checking it out. And they're talking about the back line, the superficial back line, or the back chain, dominant, I think they call it. And the ankle bones and these lines. It's the same stuff. That's what they talk about. There's still, it's within the musculoskeletal system, I guess, but like it's also, that's where the meridians run. It's the same thing. It's so cool. Because it really is. It's a remembrance of the connected wisdom of the body. And you can call it so many different things. That's kind of why I'm grateful for my lens, the way that I view just any modality. It's like, I think that there are degrees of inherent truth within a lot of movement practices.
Yeah.
It's just when we get too dogmatic about it, we can miss the mark when it shows up in other ways. And it's like kind of the same thing with religion. So
Yeah, 100%. Raymond, it's funny. He's taking like a Tai Chi class and he's talking about tangerine breathing. Literally like word for word describing exactly what we're training and what we figured out intuitively through communication of different breathwork and movement methods. Like he's doing the exact same thing.
So what is it called in Qigong?
It's called the Zai breathwork, Zai, and then you have warm Zai breath, and then you have fire Zai breath. And so you have, it's so cool. You call it tangerine breathing, but it's basically where you
that's like a whole inside joke. Like the fact that we call it tangerine breathing has nothing to do with tangerines. It has everything to do with the fact that we're working with somebody in Korea and he tried to talk about decompression and it like Google translated it into tangerine and now we're just saying tangerine, like it's just a side joke.
I didn't even know that.
So it's just funny that there's an actual name for it. What was it called again? I gotta write it down.
The Zai?
The
How
actual
do you spell that?
Yeah, Zai, it's XI.
Okay.
So you have the XI breath. And so I'm learning from a guy named Robert Tang, and he's a brilliant qigong master. He learned from some really, I guess you could call it OG qigong practitioners. And I'm learning what's called a Yijin Jing, which is original lineage from Buddha Dharma. And so this tangerine breath is basically you have the warm Zai breath, and then you have the fire Zai breath. The warm Zai breath is you breathe into the diaphragm, but then you contract it, so it's reverse diaphragmatic breathing.
Some of your friends can play as the bug. Some of your friends.
And as you breathe in, you're pulling the qi energy from your dantian, your lower dantian, into your ming min, which is the lower seat of your sacrum on your spine. And there are these 2 points that are just, slightly, if I'm looking at a horizontal, slightly parallel.
Oh my God, you slapped me already.
And then the fire breath is when you actually breathe into the dantian, into your ming min, and then on the exhale, you're making an audible. And you're actually emitting force. You're creating essentially kinetic energy. It's bioenergetics. You're creating kinetic energy in the body and in the spine that then translates into an immense amount of power in whatever you're doing. So whatever the movement is, whatever, say, if you're doing a qigong move, you give it that 100%. You're not really going up against any force, but you're moving energies. It's crazy.
Do you have to breathe through your mouth? Just curious.
Say it again.
Do you have to breathe through your mouth? Is that fully necessary? Could you still kind of make that same energy?
No, I actually prefer the you could call it ocean breathing, or in qigong it's called the tiger's breath. Also, the ujjayi breath is all through the nose. So I was just doing that to make noise, but
yeah.
I can recognize some of what you're talking about from like Taoism and Vajrayana. The lower dantian is supposed to be a very sacred space in the body where we can concentrate and meditate. I know that's such a big thing, but I've never heard it in relationship to qigong. I do know of some qigong places around here in Pittsburgh. I might have to check them out, especially in relationship to Buddhism. I think that's a really cool combination. I'm more interested in yoga. I've been getting more into the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and finding the connections between what we're learning in, like, what we're talking about in some of the communities that Coleman and I are a part of, and what Patanjali talked about in the Yoga Sutras, and then yogis that have elaborated on what he talked about back then. And really, it all comes down to focusing the attention on the breath. Like, focusing your attention on the breath and merging to become one with the breath is what calms the mind, stills the mind, and allows it to expand. And the techniques that we're using, like Coleman, the tangerine breathing and the breath holds, those are ancient pranayama techniques. That's what they were called in yoga. And I think the pranayama that has gotten advertised in the Western yoga scene is so unnecessary, and it's not actually from the roots of what we know of as yoga, which is from the sutras. What Patanjali describes as pranayama is long, slow, effortless exhalations and breath holding is what he drives. He's not describing like the nonsense that we see today, you know? So like it totally resonated reading that, and I was like, wow. It reaffirmed what we're practicing as well, you know? And I think the breath holding, like you and Oxygen Advantage and everything you've been learning is taking that to like a crazy limit that maybe even like that's not described in the sutras. It's not described there, like doing these max exhalation breath holds, but obviously it is a huge part of it. It's a huge part.
It's so wild the spiritual experiences I've had just on this breath hold journey. Like when I get when I get anything above 2 minutes, it starts to like take over. Like I start to enter like a different energy field, or like even a different frequency. I become like this beacon of light. It's wild. I've shared a little bit of my experience with even some of the other guys on Eric's call and stuff, but there was one that I don't think he got fully captured. I hit my max breath hold when I was on a call with Brian with like one of my assessments on like month 3 or 4. It was like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And I was like, I'd never even hit that before in my own practice. And it was like all this energy just came rushing through my body and through my mind, and the softness of it, in which how I reacted to it and how I was able to capture all that energy, exploded into a macro like cosmic dream cycle that night. Where like, so you only dream in really in the second half of your, or is it the first half? I can't remember.
Second half, we get a lot more REM.
Yeah. So the second half of my night was like insane. Like, you know, when you dream, you're subconsciously like going through bits of information, and you're rationalizing or solving problems, and you're deep within your psyche, like whatever it is, you're navigating through those emotions and those energies in general. And the entire like my sleep that night, it was like fast forwarding through so much all at once. And it like, I woke up in the middle of it, like it was like that breath work, that hold of that whole day, just like whew. And I got the deepest sleep I've ever had in my entire life, like right after that. Wild. Absolutely wild.
So interesting to hear you talk about that. The connection between the breath hold and the dreams and like the sleep cycle. Because everyone we know has said, like, after I started doing my breath holds, I'm sleeping like a baby.
Yeah.
And it's like the breath holds are reaching such a deep subconscious level that it's having these profound effects from like the deep basement of the mind. It's like affecting the basement of the mind and making its way up. I think, yeah.
Harrison's in here. He said, I feel the same when I hit higher time length breath holds. It's different feeling, especially over 3 minutes for me. But I still have the diaphragm, the twitches in my diaphragm. The twitches will continue to happen. That's normal. But like the more time you do breath holds, the less twitches you'll get, and you'll actually be able to like almost use. So like when I'm in my breath holds now, and even like I did 9 this morning. Nothing crazy. I just did like a bunch of 1.5-minute breath holds. Like it's called a CO2 table, and you can like take different cadences in between. And I forcefully made it so I wouldn't contract. like I would take it's almost like there's a bubble of pressure that like starts kind of in this area, and you can either let it come up and like literally press like you're about to blow your nose or something, or you can push it back down deeper into your abdomen, into your diaphragm, and let it sink into your diaphragm. That's where the contractions actually happen. And you can control it and like let that pressure kind of either sink or build up. And like I've been playing around with that lately. And so like the deeper and slower you can get it to contract in the diaphragm, it has a different effect on the strength that you can build through your diaphragm. And I think I don't even know what I'm doing at this point, but I'm playing around with these energies and playing around with like affecting these different dantians and seeing like it's all about play. And I like it was all, like approaching it with a sense of like wonder or a sense of like, what can I do with this energy today? What can I figure out something, just like letting it happen and like making choices about it, not in terms of fear, is like letting your body explore things that it hasn't before. And so like literally today, like during one of my like latest holds, I let the pressure build not in my diaphragm, but actually in my chest. And it was like blowing up my entire chest like a balloon. And I just felt like more expansion through that. And it's all about this expansion and contraction that we play with. And that's like letting us kind of build that ebb and flow of life and letting us like explore different parts of ourselves and create strength through fascia. And there is a spiritual connection with all of it. And like we don't have the terms for these as we play through them. We don't know what they're called. But that's the fun part, right?
Yeah, we're kind of like creating a language here. And like if we did read the ancient literature, as like a lot of us are doing, we'd find things like we are and be like, oh, we call it this, but this is what it's been called for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a question about the breath holds and how you go about them. It
Yeah.
seems it seems it doesn't seem intelligent to practice the max breath holds every day, like maxing yourself out, like you
Yeah.
talked about the other day, like working up to just on the edge, like edging it, and then allowing yourself to come back down so that you can continue to build off of your breath holds rather than having them tear you down. So I'm wondering, and I know you've said that you've got routines that you share. I'm wondering if you could just give an example of like what you did this morning and what you did maybe this past week as your practice.
Yeah. So admittedly, the first 3 months that I did with Brian, I probably overdid things. Definitely stressing my nervous system when I don't think I needed to. I ended up actually causing a little bit of tightness in my lumbar and thoracic, which eventually ended up I don't know what happened because something physically happened as well when I was like doing jujitsu and stuff, and it like I ended up pulling a muscle close to my spine and spraining it actually. So like there was, and I was in lordosis at the same time.
Okay.
So I was like didn't have the correct posture in my spine, and it was creating compensations, which ended up creating an injury. So like you learn from experience how to do all this stuff and find the ebb and flow and build a practice. Right now, my practice, like this past week, has been honestly a little tough because I am currently like going through this detox process, and I've been meaning to talk about it online and stuff too, but my bolt score has been going down steadily. I'm experiencing a lot of herxing and stuff in terms of the herbal protocol that I'm on, and it's just been my energy's been low. lots of fatigue and stuff. So I've just been doing so much cadence and doing like little breath holds throughout the whole day as opposed to even multiple in a row. Like I'll do like if I'm low energy, I'll just catch myself and do like maybe 3 breath holds, working my way up to a minute. But then like if I get good rest and I feel energized and I feel like I'm hydrated and all of these things, I'll push it that day, because I want to continue to have that baseline of CO2. So it is sort of revving that engine, and not like really hitting your max and not forcing anything. When I hit my PR the other night, I probably forced it a little bit too much.
Yeah, dude, that was absolutely ridiculous.
But I wanted to see, I also was curious what it was at the time. Like, where is my max right now? What is my max? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So it's I do still think it's worth it to do, to hit close to your max or to build up slowly and like be intuitive with it, even within yourself. But it's also like a whole mind game as well. Like the balance that I'm finding in terms of my own practice is like, if I limit myself in my mind on what I can accomplish with a breath hold, then I've already capped what I can do. I've already like limited myself in terms of what I want to accomplish or what I can accomplish. So there's a spiritual war always happening with it. This isn't really answering your question, kind of. I'm just like,
No, it's perfect. I really just wanted to hear you talk about it, man, because I know you've got a ton of experience.
yeah, so it's because like sometimes I'll approach my breath holds and it's so intuitive at this point, like 7 months into it, that I know what my body needs to recover from a breath hold, and I know how many breaths I need in between to balance my blood pH chemistry in order to hit the next breath hold and actually gain something from it. So like I don't really have my timer on it, only on the holds, just so I can kind of mentally keep track of it. But like a CO2 table is something that I love for like I'm doing a lot of seated holds. I'm not really including a lot of movement in my holds lately. I think once I'm on the other side of this protocol, or like when things get warmer outside, I'll kind of travel back out there. But right now it's just mostly seated holds, and I'll do like various holding times or various cadences in between. So I'll do the same holding time where it's like 5 or 6 1.5 minute holds, or even upwards of 8 or 9 1.5 minute holds. Sometimes I'll do 1 minute and 45-second holds. I'll do like 7 of them, and I'll create different cadences in between, or just like until I'm ready to go again, I'll go again. Sometimes like the other night I did that, when I hit the PR, I went like 30 seconds. These are the holds: 30-second, 30-second, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and then I hit my PR. So like I was really just like building and building and building. Yeah, I think I hit like 6 or 7 breath holds during that time, and like not, yeah, like I said, like not stressing myself out during any of it, except for the last one. Because I'm kind of a psycho. I wanted to see what it was like, but it's really all about how you recover from it and how you can capture it. And I would immediately get my breath back down to 0, like right after. I would barely feel any sympathetic nervous system response. Even like the only sympathetic nervous system response would be at the very end of the breath hold. It would only be for like 5 seconds maybe. That's when I knew it was like kind of an ending, where I would like only allow it to feel the most like contracting heavy, like let it like build the most, and the like a good flex during that last like 5 to 10 seconds is when I would let it kind of all come together, or that pressure that I'm like playing with, I would let it fall at the most part at the very end, and then breathe it in slowly and use my full body and my full spine to create fascial like stretching. I would just like let it stretch my whole insides, from the pelvic floor to the diaphragm to the spine, and just like get long with the spine and expand and contract, and then use that. I've talked about it a little bit on my social media, but like the Merkaba system. Have you seen any of that stuff that I posted about it? So the Merkaba is the two intersecting tetrahedron triangles. They're like pyramids that are in our light, that basically create our light body, and one's upside down, one's like right side up, and they create a triangle in the middle of it too, and that's our light body. That's like how we cultivate and generate energy, and we do it through the breath, and we do it through the kidneys and the heart, and we create this heating and cooling system of the fascia, this fear and love within the fascia. And the fear is something we accept and we play around with, and the love allows us to explore deeper spaces within these contractions, just in general. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at with it. The kidneys and the heart are just like so important in terms of these energies. The kidneys, I don't know exactly how this all works, the kidneys and the heart, and how it like functions in terms of the fear and the love. But I know the intention of it all, and the fear of it is so important to view from like a different perspective, and not to really embody any of it. Like when I'm in my breath hold practices in general, I'm feeling things and sensing things and waiting for things to happen, but I don't take those on. I don't take those emotions on and be those emotions, whatever they are, even the love. So it's like going forward with it and just watching it and just being as like being in the moment as much as I can is really just all it is.
Yes.
And when you're in the moment, you have the choice to do anything you want. Like it's and if you give yourself the space to do so, and like especially with the pressure that you're building in with the CO2, that's like the life force energy is the CO2. And the pressure of that can help you create a longer spine, can help you create expansion, can help you do all these things internally. And that just translates to like outside the moment.
Dude, carbon is the foundation of life, right?
Mm-hmm. So like it's it's really just being an observer of it all and just watching it happen.
Yeah. And that's at the basis of every meditation technique, is like accessing that aspect of our being that is somehow not totally absorbed in the stream of thought and stream of emotion that's constantly feeding off of each other and sort of creating this distraction, or creating sort of an illusion, but it's not like but
Yeah.
the breath, it's like, I think the breath is the greatest object of meditation that anyone could ever take on, because it connects so many different dimensions of our being. There's a lot of people who use like visualizations of different deities, or they use some sort of mantra. I mean, there's so many different techniques, but I think the breath, because the breath connects you into the body, and then from the body you can reach that deeper part of the mind. And from that deeper part of the mind, that's where you start to cultivate all of your power. When you can start leveraging the power of the mind to change the body and change your reality, that's when things start to really accelerate.
Yeah. So I want you to tell me about this dark moon thing. Whatever you mentioned the other day on your story, what is this about? I'm curious.
So the dark moon is basically just something I came up with, a name I came up with based off of the Buddhist concept of shunyata.
Okay.
Which is translated as like transparency or void or emptiness. And the symbol of it, have you ever seen, is like, it's calligraphy. It's a Japanese word. And or it's a Sanskrit word. I think the Japanese translation of it is satori. And it's just a circle. And it's supposed to, and just like looking at it, it looked like a dark moon to me, in like this state that I was in. And I was like, I'm calling this the dark moon, because it just like came up and it connected it into all of this stuff that I've already known about.
Looks like an Ouroboros.
You're looking at it?
Yeah, it's like somebody draws it and it's like a circle real quick, but they don't like fully complete it all the way sometimes.
That's a symbol of like ultimate reality in Zen, Taoist Buddhism. Basically, and so I felt like everything that I've been practicing, because I've been practicing a lot of different things, but at this point, like I'm starting to I'm exiting the beginner phase, and I'm starting to enter into more of like the medium phase of this journey. And I feel like that's what I experienced. And I'm ready, I'm definitely ready to like rock it off. I'm motivated. I love the learning that's been going on, and I'm definitely ready for more. I'm gonna explore some other things, we've talked about in the past. I don't need to talk about them right now, but yeah.
Well, I don't care on this chat. You can go out, like, I don't get
Well, I do, dude. There's still a stigma around talking about it. People still feel very uncomfortable talking about it, because it literally still is against the law to do these things.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up, but it's the truth. So, it's good to share about it. We really need to share about it, and everyone have their experiences and share them with each other. But we've got to definitely still be careful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, dude, I'm excited for you. It is very cool. I've explored that space a lot when myself, and you're making me want to kind of go back into it with some of the breath work.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look to do some of the same.
I was talking to Hugo about this a little bit, and talking about how like the breath holds, it feels like again, like we're reaching the basement of the mind and creating like the most stable structure, stable foundation that we can. Whereas psychedelics are like bootstrapping you to the penthouse. They're just taking you to the top, you know? And it's like, it's good to play around with that, but the psychedelics is definitely like you can't just keep going to the top because you do always come back down. And not always does that like explosion to the top and then coming back down result in any kind of change at the foundation. So I think the breath work that you've already been doing is the more important of the two and the prerequisite to actually doing the other journeying.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about this on when you did a consultation with me when we were talking about Wim Hof.
Yeah.
And the Kundalini rising and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's like like I've had all these spiritual experiences where I've envisioned things or even manifested things on psychedelics where I see my life flash before my eyes and I'm like, how can I rewind this and get there? Or like what can I do next to create that change in my life? And it's always allowed me to sort of like a place to rebuild. And whether that has led me to that direct vision or not, it didn't almost matter because it reset the like neural connective tissue like pathways in order for me to build from a deeper, stronger base. Or just like a different base, a different perspective, because what was working or what was happening wasn't working. You know what I mean? Like in my life, it was just like, it was too stagnant. I was looping. I don't know if I've talked to you about looping at all, but like scalar energy and quantum energy, you can be in the now, but you can be looping. Or you can be in the now and you could be descending. You can try and be in the now and try and change that, but it doesn't always work because you're stuck in the same patterns because your mind won't let you escape those grooves that are deep within your neural consciousness. Like your pathways are too engraved or in like they're just too deep. You can't see anything outside of them. You don't know how to escape that. And then that entropy that psychedelics create allows you to, you know, view things differently, but so does the breath work at the same time. And we just like, for a lot of people in that's why probably why it's illegal. Because a lot of people in our society are like trapped.
Yeah. And they want everybody else to stay trapped as well. Yeah, it's such a good point. So interesting. I mean, you've mentioned here talking about what we can measure. We can measure the neuroplasticity and the neurogenesis that occurs in the brain from all these different techniques. But then you also mentioned the subtle body, which is something that science hasn't necessarily been able to measure yet. Like the chakra system, the Kundalini energy. We've associated it with different aspects of the physical body, but like in the traditions, it's something of its own. It's something much more subtle than even like what we're able to measure with our scientific technology at this time. I don't know if you know any more about that. And like you talked about the triangles in our body, that sounded very much subtle. Do you know like what is the framework and where is that from originally?
The Merkaba.
Yeah.
So
And how do you spell that?
MERA. There's two different spellings. One ends with like an H. MERKABA, and you can end it with an H if you want.
Okay.
And
I see it.
It's all sacred geometry. So an understanding of where sacred geometry starts and where it ends allows you to kind of view these energy systems from like a baseline. So we have and I am not very well versed, but I know like a baseline amount. I know the flower of life, and that we stem from the flower of life. The circle is the first flower, and as it splits like a cell splits, like an embryo is one, and it caudally folds. So that means it folds in and of into itself and makes two, and then two makes four, and then it like starts to evolve around itself and becomes the flower of life. And that's our, like, that in and of itself is like the idea behind the flower of life is we all are that one, and we all become more from that one, and that it's all based around mathematics and numbers, and it all forms like eventually the flower of life, which has a masculine and feminine properties to it. It has polarity within it, and it has structure within it. So it's 6 sides, and it or 6 like dots. So if you look at Metatron's cube and the flower of life, that's the masculine and feminine. And then within those, within the masculine and feminine, you can actually see the Merkaba. So if you look at Metatron's cube, you can see the Merkaba system. And
Good.
so I'll actually share my screen as well, just so you know what I'm like, just kind of looking at.
I think I'm looking at it, but yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, this is ridiculous.
So this right here, hold on. So
Oh shit. Dude, geometry absolutely blows me away.
This is the Merkaba. This is the flower of life. But it's,
oh my god,
the flower of life starts, as you can see, with a circle in the middle. Like if I take this thing away, it's a circle. But it starts with just one, and then it multiplies and it goes outwards. The same way, like literally the same way a cell splits. And through that cell, it splits based on radiation frequency, energy, and vibrations. And that's how it like, and light, and it feeds into this system that allows it to expand and contract. And so we have this Merkaba that's our energy system, and it connects to our kidneys and our heart. Our heart's the upward facing one, and the kidneys are the downward facing one. So the one behind is the love, and the one below is the heart. And that's CO2 builds through this. And this is how we cultivate energy. And like I said, it's all connected to radiation, energy, frequency, vibration. And then we get into the tree of life, which hold on, geometry. So yeah, actually this is a better one. So we have, this even shows it too, because the flower of life is also part of the tree of life. So we have, let's see if I can bring it up even further. Oh no, this isn't, I don't know what this is. Okay. So this is where kind of the chakras start to come into play as well. This is a better one.
Oh shit, dude, that's wild, man.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't pull some of these up. There we go. So it's just a vector that I need. Okay, so I don't know. Hold on. Yeah, I guess you can kind of just see it here. It stems from that, and the tree of life is our body, our spine, and it even, a lot of this even connects to math and the numbers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, definitely does.
like the 33 vertebrae that we have, the colors of our chakras connect to, you know, the root and the crown, all of that stuff. So we have all of these things, and they all feed and connect and grow through sacred geometry, through the Fibonacci sequence. So this isn't just a flat 2D image, or like a flat 2D, like the tree of life isn't flat, obviously.
Right.
You know, it builds through this spiral, and it builds when we develop as an embryo. It builds, and it builds outwards from the top to the bottom at the same time. So like your mouth and your anus like are like simultaneously growing along the embryo from that center point on your chest, or that even your belly button, I guess, would be a more direct point of contact, because your diaphragm kind of comes out of that, and that's your solar plexus and your sort of like, I think it's your first or second dantian. um like, I don't know a lot of this stuff. A lot of it I'm theorizing, but like that's like my kind of baseline understanding of it all. There's like so much to each one of these, but yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing all those images up and talking about them.
And then there's
Man.
like, it gets deeper into like the earth has their own energy points and systems, and so does the universe, and so does, like, especially spirals, like the way the earth and the suns move within each other, and even galaxies and black holes and universes, and the torus donut shape of the universe, and all of that. It's all continuously expanding and contracting at the same time, and spiraling in and out of itself. At least that's my view of it. I don't, some people think the earth is flat. I have no idea what to believe, you know. Like, it totally could be. I have no idea. I'm not going to speculate on that. But I do know that the in Chinese medicine and Eastern medicine, they talk about the Merkaba system, and they talk about meridian points and fascial knots, and how the kidneys are so important, and so is the heart, and these meridian points. Let's even look at meridian points, Chinese acupuncture. Look at the
Cohen, do you drink any alcohol?
No, not currently. I stopped probably like 8 months ago or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then it was like, you know, like a drink or two at a time.
Yeah.
Like alcohol, in my opinion, doesn't really have any benefits.
I totally agree.
I know Brian talks about this, and I've heard this before, but like when you drink a spirit, or spirits in general, like hard alcohols, it's disassociative. So you become disassociated with your body, allowing something else to take over. So it's not even you that's in there, it's something else. Like you're letting something else in, and there's energies and beings around us at all times.
Right.
Especially in terms of like different dimensions,
Right.
experience, like recognizing that there are other spirits around us is important, and that we need to hold on to our body of light and not let those things kind of interfere, because there's no need. Like like people disassociate for a reason usually, and the reason is usually because they're not happy, or they're not connected with themselves in a way that allows them to be present. And so like it just takes away from all of it, and I don't I don't need any of that right now. um yeah, what about you?
I've known friends who, like, I've known one friend, my sibling's friend too, that um, took LSD and was not ready for it at all. Took it in a really terrible environment as well, and had experiences of having what they called demons like take over the physical body for a period of time. And one of the people got extremely violent with the people around them and started to like attack them, and they had to be restrained down until it finally passed by. But yeah, dude, that's absolutely crazy. I've never had anything close to that happen to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
I know, not even through psychedelics, but like one of my friends was on medication for his Crohn's. He wasn't supposed to mix alcohol with it, and he didn't tell anybody we were hanging out. He didn't tell anybody that he wasn't supposed to be on alcohol, and he drank way too much, and he pulled a knife on me. I've known this kid for like long portion of my life. I went to high school with him, and I was like, this isn't cool. Something's going on.
whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, pulled a kitchen knife and I was like, that is a 9-inch blade. Like I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really does. Yeah, Harrison, yeah, alcohol is trash.
Summary, that's all we needed to say.
Yeah, yeah. It's but like in when we talk about like enjoying life in a sense that we are present, and we are um there's like finite within us and within this planet, and like to enjoy things as they come and go. um I'll have a drink some other time in my life again, and I'll still be able to be present with all of it, and enjoy it for what it is, like enjoy the flavor of it, and enjoy the whatever, like whatever that experience is going to be. um
Yeah.
like Alan Watts used to drink all the time.
Oh my God.
He's
Dude, that guy.
he's known for being a heavy drinker. Like guy, yeah, like but he had the most profound things to say. He was talking about it in such a way that it wasn't a disassociative for him.
He is such a profound character in history, in Western history. We could talk about Alan Watts for hours. I absolutely like I totally fell into all of his work my sophomore year, junior year, and senior year of college, and just like listened to all of his
All of his
lectures.
lectures, yeah, yeah. I read his book, The Way of Zen.
Yeah,
Yep, great book.
that's probably his most popular book.
Yeah.
It's a great book. I
um
want to read that book. I really want to read In My Own Way, which is his autobiography he wrote before he died.
yeah, I'll have to check that one out too.
Such a fascinating character.
Yeah, so like even in terms of like partying and like all that stuff, like I'll experience it again, or I'll, like, if I want to, if it calls to me, I will.
Yeah.
You know, because there's an energy even within that's beautiful, that's like fascinating to explore and to be part of. Like, I've been to festivals where thousands of people come together, and they're on a variety of cocktails of different things, and they're just vibing, and the music comes through them, and they're present and aware in the moment. And there are some that aren't, but there's like for the most part, everybody is, and they're experiencing these things. And I think that can be played with too, because I think especially with some of these sort of psychedelics in general that have energies, like even mushrooms are known to have a consciousness. And then that when you take that mushroom or whatever, you're taking on a part of that consciousness, and it's not like an unknown spirit or a like a demonic spirit. It's more natural. It's part of Earth, and you're connecting with that part of Earth and expressing yourself with that part of Earth, as opposed to, you know, like letting in this thing that's taking over in a violent way or in a bad way in any sense.
Yeah, interesting talking about. What I'm getting is that the alcohol, it's benign in general, and it depends on the environment in which it's being used, and can be used just like anything else. It's like it has so much to do with the situation and the context and the person who's using it and their intention behind it and their mindset with it, that you could definitely use alcohol and have a great time with it, and not disassociate and not have any of those negative consequences, but actually have positive ones.
Yeah, I think I agree 100%. I think it's a finer line that a lot of people don't realize when they're going into using alcohol, and that it's easy to slip into the negative with it.
So easy.
Even with like all substances and stuff, which is why if you don't have that foundation, breath, like it's really, it is wild how deep like our culture has fallen into using these substances without building those foundations. That's where the negativity is, you know.
100%, dude. I mean, it stands out so apparently with psychedelics. The way that we use them now is not how they've been used the last for all of human history. Just not the way. The way that we use them is not like within a context of it being like, so many times it was initiation, or it was for religious experience. It was with family members. It was with your community, and it's like not. It's just not at all like that anymore. So little of the people I talk to that have used psychedelics use them in the way that they've been used in all the indigenous cultures, or even in like the new wave, the Renaissance wave. Some of the smartest people who are using psychedelics are using them in some of the ways like I've described to you, like putting blindfolds on and allowing it to be a very introspective experience, or using them in nature, using them in a community around a fire with other experienced people there.
It's wild to think about. So like one of the first conversations I had a couple weeks ago in this Telegram group, I was talking about ancient civilizations and their use of plant medicine. And you look into like what Egyptians were using, or like what other cultures were using, and they were tapping into, you know, connecting with spiritual beings and connecting with whatever they were giving us or sharing with us. And like it even translated to technology, that we have no way to conceptualize how they even created the things that they created. There was like a podcast I was listening to recently was talking about how the technology we have to create like a circle in ceramics, like in terms of like the specifics of how it was cut down to like the smallest little edge, we cannot comprehend how they did that 12,000 years ago. Like we can't figure out how they did that with our own technology. We can't even come close to a tenth to a thousandth of what they were able to do in terms of creating a bowl, like with the circumference that is like perfect, and with all these like little edges and like all these things, like they had technology that they got from some other source. And like even with ayahuasca nowadays, like that's a plant medicine that was given to a tribe from the plant itself.
Right.
And the plant told them how to make it.
Right.
And they like, because they used to like, I think the way the root, like they would like chew on the root or something and connect with the plant, and then the plant told them how to brew it and how to make it with another plant. Like they got directions directly from it.
Right.
Whereas, you know, yeah, it's just like it's different now how we have sort of like disrespected it, or not disrespected it like intentionally. It's just the way that it sort of happened.
Yeah, that's interesting. It ties into what we're doing right now through the medical community, is like creating synthetic versions of all of these psychedelics, and a lot of people are like totally against this because for the reasons that you just described. Like it cuts off a part of the experience. It cuts off part of what makes them so special. And it might cut off the most important part of what makes them so special.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see where all of that's going to go. But I think there's being work done on like I know things in Oakland, California are happening with DMT and the research behind it, and like things are accelerating at like a freaking velocity that we can't comprehend right now.
You've heard of MAPS?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, MAPS is about to put MDMA onto every psychologist and psychiatrist's ability to access it to help treat PTSD in this year. Literally going to happen this year.
That's amazing. I remember when MAPS came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Rick Doblin back in the 1980s.
well, like so when I guess not when it came out, but when it was getting some traction, because they went around Boston on a comedian, like they were like sponsoring some comedic tour. This guy performed in Boston at this really small club and like did a comedy act around his DMT trip, and it was hysterical. It was really funny, and he basically told everybody how to do DMT. It was really funny. He was like, a cat was in there with me. Like all this but it was very interesting. And then I looked into what MAPS was, and I started following them, and they're great. They've been fantastic in terms of government research as an organization to like really push for medicinal uses. Yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting that they're doing that with MDMA.
Dude, you being there in Boston, you're in one of the hubs there. Harvard for sure, and some of the institutions you've got in Boston are definitely getting back onto the wave. Harvard was one of the first ones to get on the wave, but then kicked it all out, and now they're like, okay, we can do this again.
Yeah, what was his name?
Richard Alpert and Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the savages right there.
Yeah. That whole story with Timothy Leary.
Yeah. And then Richard Alpert, Ram Dass, who became Ram Dass, right?
Yeah.
That's a great story. The whole thing's a great story.
Yeah. It's very cool.
So I wanted to ask you about have you purchased Dr. Brandon's program?
No.
Are you considering it? Are you not considering it? What are your thoughts?
Right now I have so much coursework that I want to get through with Oxygen Advantage before I sort of tackle any other physical stuff. I think I mean I think I'm getting enough information from all of our friends in the coaching group calls that are exploring some of that stuff, and to have them, to have multiple people I know taking it, or like at least absorbing information through it, that are going to like share that information. I don't think it's necessary for me to take it right now. I think Dr. Brandon's like amazing, and I'm glad he got into GOTA, and I'm glad he's, made this course that's definitely worth the money.
Yeah, no doubt.
But like Eve, I was going through just even one of the courses through Oxygen Advantage yesterday, or one of the like Zoom recordings, and I want to check out more of these before I go into anything else. And I'm doing a master class with Brian in April to like sort of wrap up the whole OA cert. So I'm going to go to that in person, try and finish up all the coursework from now until then, and then after that, I don't know yet what my next piece of education will be. I know that one of the people Brian has learned a lot from has been in hiding, sort of, in terms of being open in the world about her own research and stuff, but she's very into the cranial nerves, and
We were talking about this on Friday. Yeah,
I want to dive more into that and learn more about it. We were even talking about it at the beginning of this call, but there's so much cool information out there that I think can help a lot of people, that I want to get into that, I think, first.
Yeah, so with your work, backtracking a little bit, your work with Brian, has that always been work that you've been working towards some sort of certification with Oxygen Advantage, or did it start out as like you doing one-on-one sessions with him, and then you were like, I really fucking love this and I want to be certified in this?
Yeah, the what you just mentioned, is it the latter? Yeah, the latter.
The latter.
So like I started with GOTA. I started working with I tagged you in a video with my buddy Jim, and he and I have been working together on a project for a while now, in terms of, he was my original like fitness trainer and coach, and got me, like, I was working in corporate for 4 or 5 years, hated it, quit, started physically training with him, learning about breathwork and stuff through him, yoga even. He got his YTT. I started to like just train on my own while I was, trying to look for other jobs and like drive and stuff. And then I like over the pandemic, I just switched, spent so much time on myself and researching things and learning, and got the GOTA cert. I didn't like fully get their cert because they changed it like too many times for me to actually complete it. But like and then I signed up with Eric because I was like, ooh, lifetime. That's always like
I don't have a lifetime with Eric.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I know you talked about that before. I'm still paying a monthly membership.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly it's going to be worth it for a while. I mean, he might do something eventually down the line for members that have been there for a while.
Yeah. How much did you pay for your lifetime membership?
Well, so I did a master class that was like closer towards 1,000
with Eric.
Yeah. Back in October. And it was like 8 or 12 weeks or something. I think it was like 8 weeks, maybe 9 weeks.
Right. That's what he's got up on the
Yeah. And that, yeah, a bunch of other people were in that too. And so like I just wanted to make new connections within that. And then I was doing dude, it's actually kind of funny because it all spiritually like rolled into one thing that was happening all at once. Like for me, like even the first week I missed because I was like, I don't know how I feel about this whole thing, because I was like watching a bunch of his videos and I was like, I already know all this stuff, because I like spent a lot of money on the GOTA cert, and I was like, I don't want to double down on the same shit. And then all this stuff started popping up about frogs, like like actually, and I ended up doing a combo session in New York, and that really sparked some health journey stuff and put me on a path, and like the frog being like a major like, hey, pay attention to me. I was like, okay.
No fucking way, dude.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, because
Eric fucking
Eric's a
flow
frog.
off shit.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, I gotta listen. Something's telling me. Like the opportunity to do combo came same time that I signed up at Eric's course, and the numbers were all weird too. It was like 11:02:22. That was like when I did combo, and it was like all this, like I don't know, all these weird things were like pointing at me, and was like, just pay attention. I was like, okay. And my breath work was like really improving at that point. Like I was getting really deep into my max breath holds, and I hit 40 on the bolt score
Yeah.
around that time, and it just started to like push me into a higher vibration.
Yeah.
And I've just been kind of cruising ever since, and meeting so many people and connecting with so many people. Like my Instagram sort of exploded. I've had like 800 new people follow me in the last like 3 or 4 months.
Damn.
Yeah. So not all of them like pay attention to my content, but like that's like, I don't know, it's like something to be cool about. Like I made a reel, just like kind of popped off. I need to make more content and stuff, but I'm also focusing on myself at the same time.
Yeah, dude. The Instagram thing is difficult. There needs to be such a balance. I left for a long time. I didn't have any social media. Just recently I've come back on because it is a very difficult thing to balance. And if I feel it getting out of balance, like I just step away from it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, you got, when did you start the Oxygen Advantage certification? How much did it cost, and like how long does it run?
Yeah, so I started Brian's program back in May. And then I started the Oxygen Advantage shirt with the masterclass included. So the Oxygen Advantage shirt's like around 1,000, maybe a little bit more. And when did I start that? November, I think. I started looking into it. Maybe a little bit earlier. Brian said he was gonna. So Brian mentioned in one of his calls that he wanted to do an in-person cert for OA in like Maui. And I was like, I'm gonna get a restaurant job for 3 months so I can pay for it. And so I did that. And this is kind of a wild story too. So I got this restaurant job, and then he was like, "Oh, I can't do it in Maui. It was supposed to be in December." And then I signed up for it and everything, bought the thing through his course, and then he was like, "Can't do it in December. Gonna do it in January. Can't do it in January. We're gonna really plan for it and get it right and do it in April." I was like, "Oh, I'm fine with it. Whenever you want to do it, like it doesn't matter to me." And then the opportunity came up to actually go to Hawaii, and I just sent it.
That's when you were in Hawaii.
Yeah. And I went to Maui too. It was all like weird. And then I met an iridologist down there, and I'm starting like the old herbal protocol for it because of that. And it's just like I just keep with the combo. I did this other medicine called Sananga, where it's like eye drops, right? And it helps with like vision, helps with glaucoma, like if you got any eye issues, anything, and it decalcifies your pineal gland like heavily. And I didn't realize how, I mean, I didn't realize, yeah, how kind of blind I was to my own intuition. And then I've just been following that ever since. And I plan on doing that 2 to 3 more times to help with the thyroid stuff that I'm working on. But it's all connected. And so like right now I paid like $1,000 plus like, I don't know, 500 or 600 for the in-person masterclass. And I'm just working my way through all of that content because it's a lot. There's a lot on the back end, and I get lifetime access to it as well. It's another lifetime thing. Like every masterclass that they post in the future is going to be on their back end portal. which I'm really excited for because I'm gonna teach one eventually. It's my goal.
Yeah.
You know, like everything that I'm learning now in terms of the developmental sequence, like babies, how to change, how to like restructure your DNA, basically, so you can
Yeah.
a kid and so you can watch out for all these things that potentially could mess with their alignments or mess with their structure and like I know that the future is gonna like an AI is gonna do a lot of weird things in terms of all this stuff. They're already making babies in tubes and all that shit. But like this is important information for us to live it and know how to function within it because we'll have technology that can heal us, right? That can like heal anything, bring us back to baseline, even eventually bring our consciousness into a healthier body, whatever the hell is going to happen in the future. But if we don't know how to actually live in that body from a consciousness perspective, then we're just going to fall right back into any trauma patterns that we are connected to. So like we have to figure out how to navigate it from that intuitive sense, from that intuitive standpoint, from that subtle body standpoint that you mentioned, from a spiritual standpoint. So like there's like work that I want to share that I'm doing on myself.
Yeah.
That, you know.
Yeah, dude. I talk a lot about the psychedelics, and that's just because it's part of my long-term goal. I've already got a degree in psychology, so I'm gonna go back and get either a master's or a PhD, and I'm gonna be part of like facilitating
Hmm.
at on a mass scale psychedelic sessions for people, because the people that don't have the foundation like we're cultivating, they still could use so much help from the plants, but they're not able to do it on their own. They're not able to navigate them themselves. So what they need is someone who is foundationally strong and has experience and can help and lead them through it. I think we need more people like you and Hugo and Eric and to like lead those types of sessions. Like you guys are the type of people that would be doing that and going into the future. So it's part of my that's part of my vision going forward within the next few years. But it obviously, like we're saying, that's just one piece of it. But all the other stuff that we've been talking about and the oxygen advantage things that you're discussing are another huge piece. Like I want to be able to bring all of that together by the time that I'm giving people psychedelics, like because what they really need most of the time, for the most part, is like a better baseline breath. They need better baseline movement patterns. Like this is what they really need. They need the psychedelic maybe once a year, but every single day they need to be working on their breath and they need to be working on their movement patterns. So like bringing all that together is what I see, and I'm wondering. I mean, I've been flirting with the idea of working with you on the breath, but I'm wondering, and if you could stay objective, because I know you would like but would you recommend the oxygen advantage course?
Yeah.
You would recommend that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
I would recommend it almost the same that I would recommend from an objective standpoint. It's tough because from an objective standpoint, I really did gain so much from working with a coach.
Yeah.
If I didn't work with Brian and just went straight into just doing oxygen advantage by myself. Yeah. Yeah, Harrison. Yeah. So like he's in Brian's course as well. I think working with any of the oxygen advantage guys in general I actually don't know for sure. Not all of them probably, but like a lot of them are inherently and spiritually active or just aware of all of this stuff. But
Hard not to be. I would just assume hard not
I
to
think
be.
building the practice and working with a coach so you can answer all of these, have all these questions answered as you navigate through it all is, really worth it. I think doing the Oxygen Advantage cert is also worth it if you want to teach it.
Yeah.
And the back end knowledge is so worth the $1,000. Like $1,000 is nothing.
But lifetime membership, absolutely not, especially
It's-
when they
it's-
continue.
And you can complete it whenever you want. Like it's not like you don't have to rush to do any of it. You can take your time learning it. You can take years if you want, while you develop your own practice, like all that stuff. I'm like working on, like I'm building my own course, obviously, and I'm like taking bits and pieces from everything that I'm learning all the time and combining it into this one little thing.
Yeah.
And as I build it, it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to work with you. I would also love to build something with you.
Heck yeah.
So part of, and it's funny because I keep mentioning this, part of this whole idea behind the 5D Earth, the matrix of it, and the idea behind this Telegram group is to get like-minded individuals to build these things so we can share them with more people. And you should definitely check out the video with me and Jim, because we've been working on this concept for how old am I? 4 or 5 years now.
Did you get the name from Eckhart Tolle's book by any chance? No.
Originally, I was going to do New Earth Jedi, but that was a little too Star Wars focused. Because a Jedi is a fictional thing. Oh hell yeah, Harrison, hell yeah. Yeah, lifetime's hard to beat. It's just my course on my LinkedIn and stuff, my breathwork and biomechanics. But me and Jim have been working on a concept called the Thunderdome, because as great as all this stuff is that we're talking about, we're going to need a place to do it, like an in-person place to start
Right.
to build all these systems. And this in-person place has to be a place that doesn't exist yet, because what we have now built in terms of architecture, in terms of structure, in terms of sustainability, in terms of energy and frequency and vibration does not exist yet. It hasn't been built. And we see it as something called the Thunderdome.
I love it.
The Thunderdome is a big dome on a platform that is a health and wellness and fitness center that is connected through and with the earth to build sustainable permaculture surrounding it, to integrate into nature, to integrate into vibration, frequency, and energy, to use sound, healing, meditation, and architecture in order to amplify these things. Like it's something we want to replace every McDonald's with, something we want to replace every stadium with. It's the future, because
Let's
what
go.
we have now, it's not working what we have now. This stuff that we are looking into, like, imagine you get that group of people that you use psychedelics with on a larger amount. Imagine getting them all together in one room, all safely together, put on these psychedelic things, put through this energy and frequency that has been that's a structure that's created to create a net of safety around them, to allow them to express their spirits without any negative feedback from the environments, to allow them to ascend. And we just keep creating these structures, and we keep creating food and nature, and allow us to integrate with micro and macro biology. Like we have if you ever get land, or if you ever know anybody that's looking to invest in land, we're selling a really cheap course that tells you how to make your own soil piles and regenerate the soil microbiology through organic fish fertilizer. That's basically a concentrated version of the most packed micronutrient dense, like it's like compost tea on the planet. It's freaking insane.
You've got this stuff on your course, this information on
So
your course.
I actually should probably post the course on my LinkedIn as well, but it's something that I helped film in the Cape. It's part of this company called Fish Brew. One of the #1 microbiologists in the country who's worked with this woman called Lane Ingham in Pennsylvania on the food soil web, has helped develop a product and a way to use the product in order. It's really cheap too. It's like $50 and you can cover acres and acres with it. It's like a reverse a version of like spraying your lawn with pesticides. And you can use it in your garden. You can use it on like you can macro it and use it on like farms and stuff. It's wild. And it understands soil at a microbiology level in terms of the types of different species of mycorrhiza, fungi. I don't know all the names for everything, but like all of that stuff. And it like reverses it. And so we're gonna like, that's our plan, is to use all that stuff. Yeah, I touched on it with Jim. He's him and I have been working on this project for a while now, but we want to like, it's going to amplify in the next 5 to 10 years and get even crazier. And we've looked at getting spaces, but like right now we're just still building our own businesses and connecting. And this is one of my ways to connect with more people who want to do work like this. So I'm starting to build this community, and I'm glad you're part of it.